Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Okay. Though we don't have the forum, but let's start because we are getting delayed. Okay, so we were in resource management, and in resource management, we are looking at acquired resources overview. So, as I said, we are not going to look into the ITTO, input tools techniques. Sometimes we may look at one or two items in the output. Okay, can somebody read this for the class? Acquire resources overview.
Acquire resources overview. Acquire resources is the process of obtaining team member, facilities, equipment, materials, supplies, and other resources to complete project work. Key benefit: it outlines and guides the selection of resources and assigns them to their respective activities.
Okay. So this is a very brief overview. So if you're talking about manpower, so uh, you are hiring people, and if you are talking about material uh, resources, then you are talking about vendors to supply them. Okay. And tools and techniques. One second, I'll go to the next projection mode. Uh, it is a highly limited options that are being given under the pin box because this slide is based upon pin box. There will be a lot of tools in the tools techniques and the let's first focus on the manpower. We'll ignore the material for now, but we'll cover the material as well. Okay, so here we are. So how will you acquire resources? Acquire how? We're talking about manpower. What will you do to acquire? Let us say you have to develop a website and you have a small company. What are you going to do? Small company means 10 to 50 resources, but you don't have a IT person or you don't have a website developer. What are you going to do? From where will you get the people? Assuming you are not outsourcing the complete website development to a company, you are yourself managing the project. How will you get the resources? We already did an example on identifying or estimating the resources. We did a resource breakdown. We made a list of the resources. That was, is it, what is it, yeah. We have done this kind of exercise before. We identified we require a designer, developer, tester, BA, and PM. And some more were done earlier. Do we have label? So some of you are from HR, right? Let me see all are there. Oh, okay. Omkar dropped. He was from HR. But let us say you decided not to go for a job. You decided to open your company after graduating in the management degree. What are you going to do to get resources, acquire resources? Or let us say you decided to open a department store, a big grocery store. How will you acquire the resources for that? What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Recruitment.
No, not just recruitment. We are talking now about acquiring resources.
So
Yeah, so manpower
place,
you can.
Yeah, so recruitment is one part of the acquiring.
sort of place.
Place. No, we are not talking about acquiring resources, human resources.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I think she means the real estate, like the place where you'll actually put up the department store.
Hmm.
No, I'm not talking about how will you set up your business. I'm not talking about that. I'm only talking about what are the different ways in which you can acquire the resources.
Uh, I don't know, for a department store, you need a strong logistic team. So maybe tying up with some other team that's into logistics.
Mm, yeah, I mean that is your vendor. So that task was anyway a vendor managed. Nobody has his own, logistics team
So
except
then
for.
what are you asking for? Can you give an example? Because
Okay,
we are not
let's say
getting
if
it.
you have to develop a website, you need to hire a developer. You need to. I just showed you that screen. So how do you get a developer in the first place?
Yeah,
Or put
recruitment
yourself,
through LinkedIn or maybe coaching even if you're.
okay, so put yourself in the shoes of the companies that are hiring you. What are they doing to acquire you? So one is external hiring, and how will you do external hiring? External hiring can be done through agencies, which is manpower agencies, I mean, or it can be done through portals. An example of portal is Naukri, LinkedIn. Or I would not put it as a portal, I would put it as social media. Social media is LinkedIn. Okay. What else can be done apart from external hiring? And then, as I give you the example of campus hiring. Okay, what else can be done?
Referrals, maybe one of your partners knows somebody who's already good at that.
Referrals will come under external hiring.
Is this a startup or are we just looking for? Is this a startup?
No, I would not say it's startup. I would say it's a small business.
So internal promotions.
Okay. So we have internal hiring. And to do the internal hiring, what you might require is you might have to close the gap in the skills because you are doing a transfer from another department, another role. So you have to do a cross skilling. And how will you do cross skilling? Cross skilling can be done on the job, or it can be done via training, or can be done through online training. Training is normal training, and this is online training. What else can be done?
Ex employees, you can call them back if they had those skills.
That would come under external hiring. So I can just put out here. So, no. So I can which comes under referrals, so if employees, what else? And then how do you execute this process of hiring, whether through any of these means? You need to do a publish job description. Okay, and then you need to specify skills required, skills, qualifications, experience. Skills, qualification, experience. So, this is the sourcing part, and now I'm doing the steps in the not a complete step, but I would say some milestones. And then you do the screening, and then you do the interview, and then you do the offer roll-up, and then it is onboarding, and then there is induction. This is not then the PowerPoint. Uh, now what I'll do is, shall I put it in the Telegram? Will that do? Where do you want to save it? What do
Sir,
you?
put it on Telegram.
Telegram. Okay. I'll put it as a screenshot. I think that's better.
Also, sir, you had asked us to watch movies on Netflix, but you did not suggest the names, sir.
No, I did give you the this thing.
You
Okay.
just took the poll and asked.
No, no, no. Here it is. This is that link. I'll paste it here also. I did give you that link. So these are the startup movies.
I would suggest watch The Founder. It's epic.
Yeah, it is listed in that link.
Oh,
Yeah. So the social network is the most important one. After that, jobs is the next most important. Founder is good. So most of the iconic businesses, their stories are covered here.
yeah.
But sir, when I tap on that link, only my Netflix gets started,
Okay, one second.
and there's suggestions of money heist and all of that.
No, one second. So I have to log in. What I'll do is I'll open it out here. This one. Okay. Okay. So the one what you see at the top is the advertisement, and when you come down, okay, okay. What happened is the link got changed. So
Hmm.
though the original URL had it, but for some reason the link is. So what I will do is I will try to start up out here. Okay, so here is the founder. Okay, founder is about the McDonald's, and this is Jobs. This is about Steve Jobs. And Upstarts is Netflix home production. Then this is social network is about the Facebook, and inside this brain, this is the interview with Bill Gates. Shark Tank is the reality TV, and Big Short is about you know uh,
the housing crisis.
yeah, the financial crisis.
Right.
Uh,
Mm.
okay, so the Uber story I have not seen, but looks like a documentary. So not all are startups because the search of Netflix is not that great. But the major ones I have highlighted: Founder, Jobs, Social Network, Inside This Brain, Shark Tank, Uber Story, and there will be a few others. Um, and I don't know why the search is not that great here. Uh, and there's a Hindi movie also, Rocket Singh, Salesman of the Year, I think. Rocket Singh, I think. That is Ranbir Kapoor. Yes, one of the good business movies coming out from Bollywood, and there should be a few others. I have I can share once you see from the Netflix, then I can share the ones which I have but as a downloaded version. So I think this is good to get started with what we are just seeing. Okay. So you notice this, right? I have in the search I typed startup. So you can do the same in your Netflix. Mm, So all these are part of HR processes, recruitment process, but the project management uh, will involve some of the processes from HR and other fields. Mhm. Okay, so this completes your process of hiring. From whatever source you do the hiring, this would be required. So even if you put it on the LinkedIn, you need to put the job description. So even if you are doing a referral, you need to put a job description. And do you want to do a sample job description? So what is the job description of a, let us say, placement committee member? So we have done the exercise of a placement committee.
Yes, sir, we have.
Yeah. What would be the job description? Okay. I mean, let's assume everyone in the committee is doing everything. Because I would like you to focus more on the applied part of the project management. And that is where the learning is. What would you like to do? Okay. You can, I mean, you can just have 3 points. That is good enough. Okay. Arrange, training rounds. This may involve Written aptitude test, it may involve group discussion, it may involve anything else as well. What else?
Also selecting the interviewer.
No, this is the campus institute placement committee. So
Oh,
interviewer is going to come from the company. So inviting companies, so it is done by Professor Sunil Bhaiwal, but if Professor Sunil Bhaiwal can ask the committee to do that job. And normally in bigger colleges, bigger means tier one IIT IIM, this work is done by the students, not by professors. What else? Uh,
Collecting student grades.
okay, yeah, everything to TV, etc. Everything is included here. So we got 3 points. So then, you can, if you want to put skills, you can say communication. Communication is a very generic skill that is required in every job. We're not doing a deep dive. And experience, what would you say? So, curricular, uh, activities, participation. We are doing a hypothetical example. Okay. So now we come to the internal hiring. So what are the reference steps? So you have to check for availability first. Though it's a small business, but in large organizations, there's a process to be followed for availability. Okay. Check skills
uh,
gap.
yeah. And shortlist people who are who can actually after training do the job. I mean, like not everybody even after training will be able to.
Yeah. So check interest level as well. Okay. So and then identify training cost. So training cost is twofold. One is the what is paid to the trainer, the trainer charges. Trainer charges plus uh, you know training days, because during the training days the person is not going to be working. So, if a person goes for training of 10 days, so 10 days is not going to work. So that is the opportunity cost for the company, because there's a 10 days of work lost because of that. Okay. Internal hiring, external hiring. There's one more. What else? The third is outsource. And this is temp hiring. So, so where is temp hiring frequently done? The temp hiring is done in the unorganized sector. And whereas it doesn't, it happens on a large scale. It will happen on a large
Uh,
scale. Yeah.
isn't internship also a type of temp hiring?
It is not temp, but it's another category. It will happen in the construction industry and farming. They are very large sources of temporary in construction, agri, and small scale industry, SME, small MSME, so small medium. These are the areas where temp happens, and otherwise it can also happen in IT industry. So all IT industry, large companies, by default, they follow practice of 10% temp. And the reason why they follow a practice of 10% temp because they can lay off the temp resources without giving a big notice. So normally they'll have the temp resources with 15 days of 1 month notice. This is to take care of any contingencies. If the business cycle uh, suddenly turns negative, and this has happened in the COVID period. So all the temps they would have been laid off in the month of March itself. Okay, so these are the but we ruled out one category. One that is you outsource the entire business itself to somebody else. Right? We are not considering that category. So otherwise, these are the three category, and these are the uh, business processes that we will execute to complete these sources of hiring. How do I? Okay. Let me do okay, artistic intelligence. So the Timbuk was lacking a little bit in the acquired resources now. So process description is straightforward, but then how do you do it? That is captured in the Excel that we just did. Now we were discussing about the manpower and how do you do the material part? You know, power materials. Okay, so what are the typical things that you require for a office? So we are not talking about grocery store, we are talking about an office. Any kind of office, any business office. What are the
Some furniture,
furniture?
uh, computers, lights,
Okay, okay, uh,
Real estate.
electrical appliances. Okay, okay, real estate. What else? The internet. You need. So the list can be a little long, but we can wind it up here. You need security, and you need what do you call that? Cleaning stuff. There might be a cleaning security, pantry, cleaning. Okay. So now, what if it is a manufacturing? There'll be few more items out here, but we are just doing a sample basis. Any kind of manufacturing.
Some machinery, uh,
Okay.
production, which
Plant
plant
and
machinery. Same electricity, real estate, security. Mm,
okay. And security, by security, I don't mean the stuff, I mean the complete setup of the security.
hmm.
Also, I don't know, in-house vehicles, transportation.
And raw material, that is the important part. Uh, this is one thing which will not be there in the office, raw material. And okay, transportation. Okay, we are good with this. So now, how do you acquire all of these? So some of them are recurring, some of them are non-recurring. So that is uh, one of the characteristics of capital expenditure versus operational expenditure, which is called capex versus opex. So we are not going to differentiation, but how you can acquire this. So what happens when uh, TCS opens a new office in Hyderabad? So they will go with the one of the buildings out here, and if they're not, though TCS has done some investment in the real estate, but in a new city they may not go for that. So they are going to lease it. So when they lease it, everything comes together with it. So they might specify a few things, but otherwise the owner of the real estate will provide everything. He'll provide the furniture, the appliances, what is required in the office. He'll provide the internet, he'll provide the security, he'll provide the pantry, and he'll provide the cleaning staff and
Uh,
cleaning facilities.
so also co-working spaces provide all this pretty cheaply.
Yes, so it can be leased or rented. Lease is when you go for IT spaces because then it's a long-term lease like 5 years. Otherwise, rent from small places or co-working spaces. Okay, so this is how you do it. So these are the things that you need to apply, and these are the how you are going to do it. And the third and final option is do it yourself. DIY. This is a acronym. Do it yourself. So what you do? Let's say you had a house in Pune. House is let's say 5 bedroom house, old house, and you want to run an office there. Then you're going to buy the furniture, put it there. Buy the printer and put it there, and everything. Buy a lady to do the cleaning, not buy.
Also,
Get a
many
maid to do
startups were started from their garages.
Yeah, though not in India, we don't have the concept of garage, but yeah, garage is like starting from your own house. The third, actually part of the third category, do it yourself. So now when you're doing this thing, so there are different ways to do it out here. You know, you have to have vendors to provide you the raw material to supply. And how do you get in touch with vendors? You get in touch through business B2B forums. Can you give me examples of B2B forums?
Sir, references, online platforms.
So one is I think IndiaMart, and then there have been some spin-offs from Amazon and Flipkart into B2B space. Udan is one of them. And there are other B2B forums to get in touch with the vendors. One simple thing is to place a small advertisement in the papers. And but since vendors are also looking for buyers, they will also be in you know they will also be scouting the marketplace for buyers. So you need not search for vendors; the vendors will search you. Okay, so so all of these transportation will have transportation vendors, etc. For real estate, there are you know parks, industrial parks where you can buy land or you can lease land, buy or lease. Electricity is so necessary permissions would have to be taken. And so you understood. So for each of these, for men and material, there are actions that or the milestones that you need to do. Milestones would be external hiring, internal hiring, and in the case of office, these are the milestones. Arrange security, arrange pantry, arrange cleaning, and this is how you do it. You rent it or do it yourself. And in this case, like, in the case of manpower, this is how you do it. You publish job description, you provide skills, qualifications, experience, etc., etc. So this is the copy. Just let me see if somebody has been messaging me.
Um,
You might be trying to join. No. Okay. So we covered the acquired resources. Um, so there is one discussion thread which I have shared with you. Two actually. Uh, So this is the part, one of the processes where we were outsourcing. We were going for temp. This discussion is related to that. Where is it? Slow. Okay, it is open. So maybe you can have a discussion on this. Can one of you read this question? How to evaluate supplier resources? So we are talking about manpower resources, not material resources.
Okay. I have had to hire large number of temporary resources as a part of project. These resources were provided by third-party professional services organizations and were required to work alongside my employer's technical staff. The only criteria for selecting the suppliers was cost, and this was not open to debate. This discussion was taken before I was engaged on the project, and I was obliged to accept it. The project has progressed reasonably well, despite a few wobbles along the way, and I am now starting to think about documenting some lessons learned. One area that I want to focus on is criteria for selecting the suppliers of these external resources. I don't want to focus in on the individuals who were taken on, but I want to look at the discussions making that lead to to service companies being selected. What would be effective ways to select these companies apart from cost? Recognizing that the cheapest may only be cheapest because they provide lower grade resources or fail to provide effective backup services when things go wrong.
Okay. Uh, so here he is talking about selection of vendors for providing temp resources, and there is a fierce competition in the market in this field because this used to be a very good um, income, and in the US market the margins were pretty hefty. So vendors are not taken on a random basis, and they are not on a first come first serve basis. Um, this is like a tendering process. Uh, RFI is floated, and then vendors have to respond to that, and they're selected. And then once selected, companies will continue with them unless the performance falls. So here he is asking for input how to select a vendor. So there are
or
different, yeah.
or there could be like a trial period for a new vendor.
Yeah, there can be a trial period. Sometimes the lower quantity can be given to a vendor. But okay, you fulfill, uh, one requirement first, one resource first, before we give you the other positions to you, other openings to you.
Yes, yes.
So there are two answers to this. So you can you choose one of these two answers and then present it in your uh, you know interpretation in your language without reading this. So how many people you have? You have four. Yeah. You can exercise your choice which one you want to do it. You can open it in your PC. The link is there with you in the chat window. We can,
I don't understand. What are we supposed to do?
okay. So what we have been doing in the previous classes is we will take one discussion thread as a caselet, and then there will be answers to that given on this website. So you have to pick one answer. Sometimes I may assign the answer, but otherwise, today I'm saying you pick one answer, and then you go through it for about 2 minutes, and after that, you share your assessment, your perspective after understanding that answer. So
Okay,
you're not
okay.
going to read the answer, but you're going to paraphrase it for the class
I
in your.
understand. I understand.
So there are two answers. You can pick either one. So we'll wait for 2 minutes. Uh, yeah, 2:50 now, so 2:53. We'll start. Okay, shall we start?
Okay, so should I start?
Yes.
Okay, apart from the obvious budget constraint, the other things that I think while choosing a vendor is they're obviously, I mean, like the professionals that they have in house, the capabilities of the professionals they have in house troubleshooting capabilities, and if we require some troubleshooting, will they be able to assist us with that? Their
You're
reputation
talking,
in the market.
you're presenting the first answer or the second answer?
I think the second, but I'm not going point by point.
Okay, that's fine.
So and then also wait, yeah, their troubleshooting capabilities, all right, their reputation in the market, which has come through experience. Yeah, also one that is not mentioned anywhere is dynamism, as in the ability to change quickly. Like I think that should be inherent to any organization nowadays.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, no,
yeah, I
I
think.
think the second last point it says on the job, I would evaluate the supplier's responsiveness. I think that is close to dynamism. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I wasn't talking about this answer. I was talking about the other one. I did not get the link. I just read it off the screen.
okay. So then I think that was the first one which I had on the screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and cultural fit as in progressive.
okay.
And yeah, obviously the location should be close by if it's logistical, and or they need to be very uh, internet connective. They should have high internet connectivity if you're talking about IT.
Yeah. So uh, normally whenever we are evaluating vendor, we look at the past performance, and in the past performance, we ask the vendor itself to give us some data, and invariably in India, the data would be fudged. The vendor has placed 10 resources. He may say he has placed 500 resources. They don't. The honesty is not there, and then we can ask them whether we have placed any resources for Oracle or for uh, uh, SAP or for Java. So, but every resource, again in India, there's a lot of overstatement. So we tend to compare our requirements with the kind of work that the vendor has done in the past in terms of the level of the resource. Whether he has placed freshers or people up to 5 years experience or people up to 15 years experience. So these are the different parameters that we can evaluate the vendor on. So anyone has gone through the second question, second answer. So one of the important points in the second answer is this one, in the third paragraph of the second answer. I would evaluate how the supplier filters its candidates and what type of indicators it uses to predict future success. If the hiring mechanisms are no more sophisticated than interviews, that would be underwhelming. So um, here he's saying is if the vendor is screening their proposals very stringently, then the job of the company or the client reduces. Their hit ratio goes up. For every three candidates proposed, we'll end up hiring one. But if the vendor doesn't do any screening other than a basic casual interview, and then the hit ratio might be very less. We may hire 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 15. So the cost of interview goes up for the client. Okay, so this is
Yes, but then that also ensures better quality.
yeah, better quality also. And what happens when the number of interviews goes up? The interviewer gets tired. So after doing the 10 interviews, what might happen is the 11th candidate that comes across, and in spite of the fact that it's an average candidate, he or she may get hired because the interviewer does not have any more stamina to conduct the interviews. He might give it up. He says, "Okay, whosoever is coming, let him come." So the screening is pretty important. Okay, so we have done one topic today, one process today, and next time we'll start with the develop team. Thank you. So there are people who are still not attending. I don't know why.
I had an off day. I mean, like there weren't these what do you call? We did not have any internship responsibilities today, so I was able to, but I can't every day.
There are quite a more. I'm told that 10 people are not on internship, but the normal attendance which I find is 3. So why the other 7 are not attending? I have no idea.
I can't say. I can't say. I have no idea.
Okay, no issues.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.